My name is Brian Antonson. I'm a BCIT, oh gosh, what am I? I'm a BCIT everything. I started as a student back in 1967, graduating in 1969. I was almost immediately a member of the Program Advisory Committee, the grad advisor. Started teaching night school in 1974, 1977, moved into day school. 82 became the program head in the radio program, and then in 1985 became the head of the department. The title these days is Associate Dean. I had 2 years off for good behavior when I managed a radio station in Abbotsford, took an academic leave. But essentially for a quarter century, I was the head of the broadcast department and led the team that turned out so many very successful broadcasters and new media people and so on in British Columbia, across Canada, and literally around the world. We have grads everywhere. And so that's me. I left the Institute in 2010, and I've been involved in various different things, including writing books. I live in Mission, so I was approached by the mayor to be the president of the BC Winter Games. Almost immediately after leaving BCIT, we were having the BC Winter Games in 2014 in Mission, and they said, would you like to become the president? And so I embraced that wholeheartedly and led the community team that brought together one of the most successful BC Winter Games ever. So I'm a pretty active guy involved in various different things, but we're really here to talk about my books. And this is the current book, Slumach's Gold, that we want to talk about, and putting this copy into the library collection. My involvement with this goes back to the age of 9. My brother and I were at summer camp, and he's a year younger. I was 9 years old, 1957. And we're sitting around a campfire one night, and the camp cook was telling ghost stories. And we listened to these ghost stories, and then she said, now, there's a lost gold mine up beyond Pitt Lake, but you'll never find it because there's a curse on it, and if you find it, you'll die. Well, when you're 9 years old, you get caught by that whole, whoa, I want to be part of that. So we said, when we grow up, we're going to go looking for that mine, and we're going to find it, and we won't die. As we got older, we realized that, yeah, there had been people hunting for the mine for decades, and a number of them had died, but we could write a book about that. And so we talked about this with our friend Mary Trainer, who was in class a year behind me at BCIT. She's also a broadcast grad. And the three young couples got talking about BC history and all the enjoyment that could be had with exploring that. So in 1972, we published our first very thoroughly researched book. It was 56 pages long, just a little thin volume. And we thought that this would put the whole legend and the truth about the curse or the lack thereof, et cetera, to bed. It did not. That book sold 10,000 copies. Now in Canada, 5,000 copies is a bestseller. And so that was a huge success for us. We created our own small publishing company. We probably sold or published around 28 books, I think, in all. Very successful. And then we sold, as our careers got busier and busier, we sold the rights off to another company, which became known as Heritage House. And they asked us to do an anniversary edition, 35th anniversary edition in 2007. And we thought, yeah, we can do that. We can update things and so on. Well, there was just so much more information, so many other people who'd gone looking for the gold, so many more tales to tell. And so we then published that. And that book sold 14,700 copies. So almost 15,000 copies. So together, the first edition, the second edition have sold 25,000 copies, and that's wonderful. And into the 20s, we started talking with the publisher about a rather grand update, and that's what we have here. As I'm speaking, we are in our 6th week after publication. The first week after publication, we entered the top 10 of the BC bestsellers list. And we have been there ever since, number 4 in the past week. And so it continues. Pre-Christmas sales have been absolutely wonderful. A lot of people buying it, a lot of promotion, a lot of television coverage and radio interviews and newspaper interviews and things like that. The book is 8.5 by or 8 by 10 in size, so it's a coffee table book. 224 pages. The first one was 56, the second one was 160. This one is now 224. It's chock full of full color photographs and maps. The idea is that there's lots of wonderful coverage in it of these wonderful photographs of the area where people go searching for gold. And so we're trying to make sure that everybody realizes it's really, really rough country up there. It's not the ideal place to go looking. So if you're not prepared to be a bit of a mountaineer or go up into difficult territory and so on, you should never do that. This is the man who's, if you like, the unwitting hero of the whole story. His name was Slumach. He was a Katzie man, and in 1890, he killed another fellow named Louis B. And for that, he was captured, tried, convicted, and hanged in 1891. Supposedly, he put a curse on the mine, on his supposed gold at that time. Yet there is no record in the contemporary press, which was largely the Columbian newspaper. There's no record of any gold. There's no record of any murders like he supposedly committed, taking young women off into the bush with him. There's no record of a curse. Nika memlus, mine memlus. In the Chinook jargon means, when I die, mine dies. And that's the supposed curse. A gallows curse. He uttered it as he stood on the gallows on January the 16th of 1891, but he did not. The witnesses who were standing there say that he said not a word. And so that then became somehow, and we still don't know the origin of the legend, but 6 years later, somehow there was word circulating that there might be some gold associated with him up in the Pitt Lake area, close to New Westminster. A day's canoeing, a day's hiking to get from Pitt Lake into New Westminster and so on. So there was some possible truth to that whole concept. In the early 1900s, an Alaskan prospector on his way home to San Francisco heard of the legend, and he went off looking into the Pitt Lake area, went off looking, and returned 3 months later, a broken man, but supposedly had gold with him, such that he deposited $8,000 worth of gold in the Bank of British North America in San Francisco. Nobody can confirm that because the 1906 earthquake destroyed the bank and all of its records, along with most of the city. So nobody can say whether this man actually existed or whether he actually sent a letter or sent a map to somebody. But that's the legend, and that's the whole wonder of a legend. People, when you have a legend, truth doesn't matter. Fake news, as it were, comes into play. And so that legend has been around since the late 1800s, and we are the chroniclers of it. And I'm so pleased to leave this book behind when I leave today, with the BCIT library, which is very close to my heart. I used to live for decades in the building next door, broadcast center here at BCIT, and so I'm very pleased to leave this behind, and hopefully people will enjoy this book. As a BCIT author, and actually my co-author Mary Trainer is also a grad, and my third co-author, my brother Rick, was for years the head of Tourism Vancouver, and as such he sat on the BCIT Tourism Program Advisory Committee. So we have a deep connection to BCIT, and we're proud to leave our book behind.